is that thing? Welcome to I Got No Sensors. Oh no, that's not funny. That would be evil. Ain't nobody here. Whoa, that was lightning or something blowing up. There ain't no storms. It was just a flash, and I mean a big ass flash. Right over there. Good evening. Welcome to the Nightly Shit Show. Yeah, I half expected somebody to send me a phone mount so I could mount this silly thing to my tractor. Now let's see, how close are we going to get? There's a big ass rock in there. There was a big ass tree in there years ago. You know how that goes, you know, there's a big rock, and then a tree grows, and then the tree dies, and then it gets bigger. When I was a kid, the tree was still there, and it was huge. It was a big old white oak tree. And when I say it was huge, I mean that sucker was up there. God, I wish I could read in the... My eyes are getting so bad, it's not even funny. Yeah, no, that's another flash. There's got to be... Imagine heat lightning, because there's no thunderstorms on the radar. But it's pretty violent over there. Now, turn the camera that way, maybe y'all can see it. Kind of shocking. I know that we weren't supposed to get any rain. Not until, I think, there's a chance tomorrow, but we're on the western point of it. So, I'm not really worried about it. God. Lost a lid earlier. I was talking to Mr. Eastern Shore Farmer through text messaging, and he's like, "Oh, you lost a lid." I was like, "Yeah, I know." Tim's on his way to bring me a new one, right? So he brought me a new one, which is good. It's all good. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I don't know. I could probably skip. See, with these GPSs, I could just skip a couple of rows and then come back at it. I don't know. If I just want to go, I'll probably just go around. I'm about ready to discharge again. That was about the same length of time. If it's heat lightning, it's going to discharge. Man, that's crazy. So anyways, this is my clump of trees I got to run around. So that was a very large tree way back in the day. I'm not kidding you, that thing was huge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull right up to it, like so. And I'll raise that planter up. And then I'll go around it, like so. And then I got to remember when I'm picking that tree, I should just cut all them clumps down. So years ago, when they had what they called telegraph, I don't know if you young fellows know about telegraph poles, but telegraph poles were a real thing. And oh man, what am I doing? There it is. So a telegraph pole was... They used to have telegraph poles before they had telephone poles, and telegraph poles were smaller, and they weren't treated. I think they were probably like a white cedar. I don't believe they were treated with anything. Well, yeah, they were treated, because right here, right about there, they pulled all the telegraph poles off of old Route 12 back in the 50s when they were putting in telephone and power poles all through here. When my great-grandparents moved to New Jersey from Monaville, West Virginia, they mined coal. My there was another flash. My great-grandfather mined coal in Monaville, West Virginia. He went from Upper Peninsula of Michigan, mining copper, to mining coal in, West Virginia. So when they came up here, there was no electric. There was none of that stuff. Like, yeah, okay. Electric, what the hell's that shit, And my grandfather wanted electric at the house at the farm, because in Monaville, West Virginia, they had electric. And they had telephones. And that was in 1925. I believe they had telephone or telegraph, I'm not sure. But anyway, the neighbor up the road who claimed to own the road, because back then the town didn't own the road. The road was owned by whoever owned the property, and it was maintained by whoever, whether it was the township had a grader or it was your deal. One way or the other, the roads were supposed to get taken care of. And a lot of times they didn't. And when they didn't, they got shut down, taken down, out of service, and our road was no different. Spring Hill Road, where the farm is at, was actually closed off from our driveway down to the end. It just wasn't used anymore. The old bridge was abandoned. I actually remember as a child when they made the road, they opened the road. Obviously, it was opened up before I was born. I think it happened back in the 60s. 50s or 60s. It was in the 60s because Sigger was over there. The guy that built the property across the way rebuilt it. Anyway, he required that the road be open, and they opened the road all the way down. But I remember as a child when they actually made it what they called a penetration road, which is basically they took the grader, graded it out, put a layer of stone down, not much stone, just stone, and then poured tar over that stone, and then put more stone on top of that. And I was a kid when they did that, and they didn't do it. I mean, I remember the hill, the famous hill down below the farm, where I test tractors when I need to test them out for things. Yeah, that one, I remember when that was dirt. It was dirt. And I do remember when there's a pile of compost here. This is where I did not get the compost spread. And I'm slacking, I know. So anyway, I remember that. And anyways, back to the story. When they took all the telegraph poles down, they brought them over here and they burned them. Happy Memorial Day. Memorial Day isn't a happy day. Well, it's not a happy day. It's a day to remember the men and women who have fallen defending our rights and liberties that the demon rats are trying to remove from us. Yeah, that holiday. Yeah, happy Memorial Day. Give me a break. Anyway, how was your Memorial Day? Did you do anything for Memorial Day? Are you a patriot or a scumbag? So, anyways, when they burned those, it left a black spot in the field because they burned, apparently there was a bunch of them. And it left a black spot. And when I remember plowing with a moldboard plow. I was newly married the first time I moldboard plowed this particular field. We farmed it I bet we farmed it every year that I've been alive, this particular property. It's been two different property owners in that time. Thankfully, they did not sell it off for houses. But anyway, yeah, when I moldboard plowed it, I plowed up the little glass insulators that were still on the poles. They didn't take those off, and they were pretty well, not all of them were broken, but I pulled several of them out of there and saved them when I plowed it, and the black went down a long way. And when the new property owner bought this place, they came to us and like, Do you know anything about this property? You know, if there's any old structures, oil tanks, you know, things like that. And of course, I knew where all the old structures were. As far as oil tanks, I was too young to know where those were, but apparently they did find one. There was a house that had burned years ago. After World War II, when the Jews came to the United States, they needed a place to have synagogue, and they synagogued over here on that place where the house burned. I did metal detect over there a long time ago and found mercury dimes and a lot of really cool things over there. Old pennies from the early 1900s right up until the 1950s. So it's kind of cool. But yeah. Anyways, and I said about this black spot that was in this field, and they were like, oh, can you show me where it is? And I was like, well, I'll be over here to run the chisel plow, and when I do, I'll give you a call, give me your phone number. And that was before we had cell phones, really. I think we did have cell phones at that time. It was in the late 90s. We were just getting our cell phones. See, my wife at the time, she had a cell phone because, you know, she had to be in contact with people. I was more of an introvert and I didn't care to be in contact with people. Man, that's a lightning storm over there. So anyways, with that, she had a cell phone, I didn't have a cell phone. Took his number, called him up. They came out and they took tests. They took tests to see what was in there. They asked if it grew any better or any worse where it was, where this spot was. I said, well, I don't ever notice any difference. It's just it's dark. Well, it came back, the soil test came back with, I want to say it came back with like copper and whatever was in the treatment of the wood. It was some kind of arsenic or lead or some damn thing. It was some damn thing. And they were really concerned about this spot. I was like, look, are you going to build a house there? They're like, no. I said, all right, so what the hell are you worried about? You know, oh, well, we don't want polluted ground. I said, that little spot, that 10 by 10 is going to stop you from buying this 150-acre farm? Yeah, you're right. So they went ahead and they bought the place. And they've owned it ever since. So that's fine. They never built a house. They did build a business over here. But yeah. Yeah, they did. Anyway, I don't know how late I'm going to be doing this. I know with that lightning and stuff, it's kind of concerning. I'll probably push a little longer. I'll probably go until I'm out of seed. I got enough. It's going in okay. I was fighting a sprayer today is all. I broke a piece, and I guess tomorrow morning when I get up, I'm going to just load this thing up and keep planting. I can get a little over 100 acres in a day. You know, I could probably get 150 acres a day in with this old planter if I work really hard and nothing breaks. And I have big fields. If I got big fields, I'm okay. I don't have a lot of big fields, just so y'all know. I just don't. I'm in those smaller sections, and I'm pretty much a one-man show when it's coming to this. Timothy sprayed fertilizer on Sunday and Monday. I don't think he did anything on Saturday. I don't remember. I was spraying corn, so I put him to putting down nitrogen for corn, and I caught up on the corn. I still have 80 or so acres of beans to spray. But the corn had to be done because of the residual. I'm using, basically it's Lumax. It's Bicep and Callisto. I add my Callisto. So it's technically Lumax. It's a cheaper way of doing it, believe it or not. It doesn't pay to buy Lumax. It's cheaper to buy it in the ingredients. The generic form of Callisto is you know, cheap enough. So it's not costing a lot to do it at all. But actually, the Roundup is costing more than the residual. The Roundup is expensive. That shit, that was $62 a gallon. And I bought that in bulk. Now they're saying the price is coming down, and they also announced today that the price of nitrogen is taking a nosedive, so 300% cheaper, or 30% cheaper, which is good for urea, if you're going to buy urea, but I won't be buying urea, I'll be buying AMS if I have to buy anything. But they also said that, yeah, it may be cheaper, but the problem is, there's always a problem, right? The problem is that the fertilizer plants have already locked in their prices or paid for their nitrogen needs at the higher cost, and they're not going to be able to pass on the savings of 30% off to you because of that. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, I'm having a good time planting, actually. You know, I mean, it's, what are we going? I'm going about 4.85. I'm going about 5 miles an hour. This planter actually likes 5.5, 6 because I'm using precision meters. But 4.9, 4.5, something like that, because of what I'm planting through. I mean, when you're planting through standing hay that I should be mowing and baling, which I'm not going to mow and bale, you kind of got to take your time because it takes a little bit more down pressure to cut through it. And these planters are only so heavy. I'm running water for ballast in those tanks in the back, but you know, just one of those things. There's my RTK unit. That's a bunch of compost that didn't get spread. It's okay. I'm not really worried about it. It is what it is. I'm going to run a bricks meter and see what this stuff bricks is out at. And if I have to add P&K, it isn't going to be much. What I really wanted that compost for was for the microbial activity in it. And yeah, but you know what? Hey, unless I can, I guess if I get rain showers tomorrow, I'll go ahead and spread it on here. But it's not. I don't know. It's kind of a crappy situation. Like I said, I'm a one-man show when it comes to this. Teresa can plant soybeans, but I'm pushing to see how much I got to get the corn in. Soybeans I can wait a little bit longer on. I got my early beans in, and they were a bit of a disaster. I mean, I don't want to call it a disaster, but it didn't work out as well as I'd like it to. The weather just turned on me, and it didn't turn in a good way. It turned in a bad way. So, anyway, that's that. But I'm really thankful that I don't have sensors. I don't have sensors. I don't even have row meters, to be honest. Or yeah, I don't have row meters, row monitors at all. Somebody sent me a row monitor, but I didn't have the harness to put on here, and somebody told me that I could buy one. I said, you know what? The less trouble that I have, the less I have to worry about this thing, the better off I am. And every once in a while I get out, take a piss, kick the tires, check the chains, and lift the lids. And as long as when I lift the lids, everything is looking identical, which it has been so far, the whole time I've been planting, I'm good. You know, that's it, I'm good. So, yeah. It's a good plan, actually. Then I'll have to listen to all the beeps and bloops and bangs and whatever else those planners do. I do have to take attention to that one chain, though. And the reason I say that is because it's a drive chain and it's just got a little slack to it. I think my little plastic idler has managed to break. But it's still on and it's still functioning, so it's okay. I did have a 4-row corn planter, and that damn thing. Whew, that would actually have a double action cylinder. And I think these are actually double acting cylinders as well, but I don't use them as double acting cylinders. They had double acting cylinders, and it would lift the drive wheels off the ground, and then you'd go along and it would skip. Oh, what a pain in the ass. But I got rid. That corn planter was one that my grandfather had bought. It was a John Deere 7000. It was probably a 1975, 1976 model. I planted a lot of corn with that 4-row corn planter. Then I have the other 4-row corn planter that I still have that I bought. I planted a lot of corn with that too. I'd plant up to, I don't know, 250 acres a year with that thing. And, you know, there's pros and cons to these big planters. Because if you're impatient and you go to the field and you've got, say, a 12-row or bigger corn planter, you can cover a lot of ground in a day. And if you're impatient, you can put a lot of corn into ground that isn't ready in a day, or 2, or 3. And I can do in 2 days what it would take me the whole spring to do with a 4-row corn planter. But a 4-row corn planter, if you start too early, you're not too far ahead of yourself. As a replant's a replant, one way or the other. But you're not too far ahead of yourself. And in these soils that we have, this is marginal ground, man. This is no joke. If it ain't ready, you better not be out here. You better not be out here. And today, the ground is perfect. It's ready to go. There's no denying that. This ground is ready to plant. But you know what? I just gotta get this sucker to go. Yeah, it's ready to plant. But it is almost June 1st, you know, and I got a great uncle who passed away just a couple of years ago, and he said, "Oh yeah, that goddamn Kingwood ground, that's June ground. You don't plant that till June. If you can get it planted in May, you're lucky. You're doing something, kid." And I always kind of agreed with him, because I've done a lot better planting in June. That's why I put the beans in first. Here in Kingwood, beans can take that wet, cold ground a lot easier than what corn can. So, yeah, and here I am on the 30th of May, and I've got, geez, what do I got? 400 acres to go? I got 400 acres to go. I can do this in 4 days if I get 4 days, but I don't think I'm going to get 4 days. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, as they say, it is what it is. If I get 4 days, I'll be in good shape, but I don't think I'm going to get 4 days. You know, by the time I get this farm done, this is going to be, 60 acres, and I get up the road, that's another 60, there's 120. I got 20, 40, 50 acres right there, 50, 60 acres right there. So 120, 180 acres right here, plus another plus another 60 acres up the road a little bit. So there's, 180 plus 60, you're looking at 240 acres right here. Then I got another 60 acres over in Flemington, and another 80 acres down there, and I got another 40 acres over there that needs to get planted. So I'll be okay. I'm going to have my 650 acres planted. I don't think I'm going to get to 700. Like I said, I reduced my population from 37,700. I was going to put in 32,500, but I changed my mind because I'm a human being and I'm allowed to do that, and this air cleaner definitely needs to be changed, blown out or something, probably full of dirt. And so I'll have 2,000 seeds, so 600 times 2,000, you know, 200,000 times 6, 2 times 6, 2 times 6 is 12, it's 1,200,000. So 1,200,000 seeds left over. We can stick those in there at 30,000 plants. I mean, we're looking at a lot of acreage. So, and I got the ground. It's just a matter of, calling up and getting another tank of fertilizer to put it in. Soybeans, with the way the deer are, if I don't get those last 3 boxes of beans in the ground, I'm okay with that. I could put it into corn easier. And I've got 350 acres in. I mean, I could easily just do another 50 acres and have my 400 acres of soybeans, but I don't know. I'm thinking of maybe just calling it quits on the beans just because. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this week pans out. I mean, I can put beans in until, up until July, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have those beans in the ground. I got 3 boxes and 3.5 boxes left. That's it. 3.5 boxes. There's 40 units in a box, so that's 40, 80, 120 plus 140. 140. So I'm looking at another 110 acres worth of seed, and that means I got to find a place that isn't out of the way, that doesn't have a large deer population, and that sort of a thing. So, but corn, I can get away with corn, putting it in a higher deer populated area. The coyotes are doing their job. There's fox that are doing their job. They're knocking off these fawns pretty good, but they can't do it fast enough. And I was hoping for a little more indication of blue tongue, but who knows? I'm on tractor. Yeah, I'm only going to do 12 rows on the end of this field, this farm. Now this farm, the last time I planted it, it did really, really well. If some of you remember when I bought a GoPro Hero 2, that'll give you some idea as to how long ago that's been. It was about 2014 2014 was the last I had corn in here. So, looking at a few years ago, and now we're going whole hog into corn. Now the farm on the other side of that fence row, that has not had corn in it. And I never put corn in it, and I've been farming that since about 2001, 2002. 2001, that's when I started that one. Previous farmer did have corn in it, but he wasn't farming the entire property. He was leaving field grow up into bushes, and that upset the property owner. The property owner's like, will you do my whole farm? I said, yes, I will. He says, okay, there's 2 fields that are growing up, and 2 fields that are growing up into bushes. I'd like you to brush hog those off, and I'll give it to you forever. I was like, okay, no problem. So I've been farming it since 2001, and he just died. COVID got him. He was 84. Nice guy. His wife called me, and she's 74. She's about 73, 74. She's, my mom and dad's age, and she said, yeah, the COVID got him. He was perfectly fine. He got COVID, and he died. What a shame. So anyway, it's for sale. I'd like to buy it, but I just don't have the money. It's all tied up in equipment and crop right now. I mean, if you think about it, I got a couple $100,000 going into the ground pretty easily, and I got $100,000 worth of seed, so yeah, 100,000 in seed, close to 100,000. No, 100,000 in seed. No, 100,000 in seed. So if anybody says farming's cheap or easy, they ain't never touched anything to do with agriculture, I can tell you that. God, can you believe it's been 21 years? I farmed that for 21 years? That's nuts. That's nuts. Wow. It'll be 21 years. Yeah, that's a career. I should be retired. I don't think I want to retire, you know. But I do see people that I went to school with, and they're retiring at 48, 49 years old. And I'm like, either you did things like just right, or you're just so sick and tired of what you did for a living that you quit. I mean, at that age, why would you want to quit? And of course, the last one that I saw was a girl. She was a pretty girl. I had interest in her when I was in high school. She was really nice, and a very nice girl. Thin, not too tall. I felt that she was built pretty nice. I saw her on Facebook, and I'm like, do I look that bad? I mean, really, do I look that bad? What a train wreck. And she just retired at 48. She's younger than me. I'm 49. She's 48, or not quite 48. It's like, wow. I don't know. It's probably a terrible thing for me to say, and she doesn't watch my videos, but man, I was like, wow. And then you see another female or woman young lady that you went to school with, and she looks the same as she did when she was in high school with a few gray hairs, right? And then you look at how do you, yeah. And it's not genetics, I don't think, because there was a girl that was slightly overweight when we were in high school, and Chrissy, I'll use her name, Chrissy, I won't use her last name. She's married now, obviously, had a family, and they were all raised up, because we're all going to be 50, you know. You look at her, and it's like, wow. She lost that weight. I remember our 10-year class reunion. She had lost weight, and she was, of course, the guys that wouldn't pay no mind to her back then because she was slightly overweight. You mean that she was a bad person? She was a great person. Slightly overweight, and at the 10-year class reunion, I mean, we're talking married men that were hitting on her and she was not married. She was single. She had gotten an education. She was traveling the world by herself, and yeah. Saw a photo of her not that long ago, and you know what? There's some good genetics there. Good genetics. She looked really good. Now, I don't know. I don't think I look bad. I'm going to be 50, and I don't think I look bad for my age. And I see a lot of guys that I went to school with, and I'm like, who are you? What? What the fuck happened? You know, like really athletic, fit, built, muscular guys. They look like somebody stuffed them with a sausage stuffer. And I mean, I've gained some weight, but I lost it again. Like, hey, I don't want to be 235 pounds. I want to be 110, 210. Or 200 would be probably too thin for me, but 210, I'm at 215, 212, 213. I'm in there right now. I'm pretty happy with that, but I see some of these guys, and I'm like, I played baseball with one guy I just saw a picture of. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he makes a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man look thin. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And he married another friend of mine, and even her, I guess when he gained all the weight, she was like, well, fuck it, he's falling apart, I might as well do it too. Because she's now no longer 110 pounds soaking wet. She's 240 pounds dry as a bone. It's like, man, I don't ever want to get to that point in my life where I just give up. Just like, well, I'm married, she wins, I'm just going to be a fat slob. You know, and I'm sorry if you're overweight. Don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on you. I'm just like, if you've always been hefty, whatever, and you continue to be hefty or heavy throughout your life, well, it's no surprise, right? But when you take somebody who was in a weightlifting room with you, on the baseball field with you, just doing all the things that you did, and you look at them and they just look like they got to a point in their life where they just said, fuck this. And most of the kids that I went to school with are a year younger than me because I was left back in school. And was it a good thing for me? No. I don't think any child should be left back. Just because when your friends move on, it's hard to deal with. It's really hard to deal with. And if you do have a child that you feel is behind going into the kindergarten, keep them back. Don't even get them started in school. Start them in a preschool or a private school, you know, where a preschool, or get a private tutor or something to get them up to speed so that when they do hit, the kids do hit the school system, if you're going to put them through the school system, they got a good head on their shoulders. They're already, you know, they already know enough to be, you know, to excel. And that's where what it should have happened with me. They wanted to keep me back, and then they wanted to push me forward. And my mom and dad were like, look, you kept him back. Now he's got friends in these classes, and now you want to push him back up to the kids where he was not even close to, you know, being able to do what they could do. And, you know, and it was like, I just didn't want to be in school is what it boiled down to. It wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing, it's just I didn't care. And I see that in my youngest son, smart as a whip, but he's got this one lonely farmer attitude, you know, like, I don't, you want me to do what? No, I don't think so. Oh, I can't do this? I'll show you, I'll do it. And that's William. He is just like me in that aspect. And I hope, beyond hope, that the teachers are kind to him. I don't know. I think I'm just going to homeschool him, even if I have to do it. I really hate the school systems right now. The teachers, even the teachers that were students when I was at school, they're assholes. With the exception of a few, obviously. But there are a few. They're just total Democrat cunts. Like, they think that this high fuel price is caused by Donald Trump. They still think that the Russian collusion thing was real. They still think that Donald Trump deserved to be impeached for all the offenses that he committed, even though he didn't commit any. It was a lie. It was a lie. You know? I don't know. And when you deal with people like that, it's hard to not want to choke the ever-loving shit out of them. I came close to getting arrested at the school system over Timothy one time. I don't know, did I ever tell anybody that story? There could be story time with one lonely farmer. So once upon a time, Timothy was in grade school, and he was in about he was in fourth grade. And fourth grade. So he had an IEP, Individual Education Plan is what that stands for, if you don't know. He had an IEP, and that gave us some more power against the school than what they were comfortable with. It comes with a handbook, and you should read it. If you've got a child that has an IEP, you should read that handbook. So anyways, Timothy had an IEP, and we get to third grade, and he has a, I guess you want to call her, not a social worker, but a guidance counselor, I guess, or a caseworker, whatever the hell it is, because when you have an IEP, you have a, I guess you want to call her a head of the whatever department, and she was in charge of his IEP. When it gets to third grade, I was like, well, her name was Laura Roth. I'll use her last name because I don't care. But Laura Roth was this person that you had to deal with through the school when you had an IEP with a child. Okay, no big deal. Third grade comes along, I said, you know what? I said, I know Timothy's only in third grade, but when he gets to fifth grade, if this teacher, Mrs. Piper, is still there, I don't want him to have her as a teacher, because when I went to school, I wanted to commit suicide almost. I never wanted to commit suicide, but it was just such a miserable education experience with that teacher. She was awful. I mean, if ever there was an awful person ever to walk this earth and teach children nothing, it was that woman, Mrs. Michelle Piper. Anyway, so third grade comes, third grade goes. This woman's kind of, I can tell she's blowing smoke up my ass on some things. So I'm like, well, all right. So at the end of third grade, or fourth grade starts, and I have the same conversation with her. I was like, look, I know Mrs. Piper's going to be there next year. I just really don't think that it's a good idea for Timothy to have Mrs. Piper, because I'm just not going to have her teaching my son. She's like, well, she's learned a lot over the last 15 years since you've been here, or wherever it was. I was like, I don't care. He is not going to have that teacher. Okay. End of fourth grade comes, and we're setting up his classes for his fourth grade or his fifth grade experience. And I said to Miss Laura Roth, I'm like, look, I know you're not going to do this, but I just have to remind you, I do not want Timothy to have Mrs. Piper in his class as his teacher for his classes. She's like, oh, no, don't worry. It's not going to happen. I know you've expressed this before. It's okay. We're not going to do it. Okay. Alrighty then. Life is good, you know. I'm like, yeah, that fucking bitch ain't going to get my kid. Anyway. About a week before school starts, we get a schedule. And who is Timothy's teacher? You'll never guess who Timothy's teacher was. Never in a million years could you guess. Oh, come on, you bastard. Never guess who Timothy's teacher is. One, Michelle Piper. Hello, Kingwood Township Public School. I would like to call an IEP meeting right now, like today. Oh, well, our teachers aren't able to come to the school today. I said, look, there's going to be a problem. I need everybody there. Well, Mr. Pandy, we'll have to get a schedule. And that was Laura Roth. And she knew. She knew she fucked up. But she didn't know how bad she fucked up, because she didn't know who she was dealing with. I'm nice when I'm nice. When I'm not nice, you don't want to be around me when I'm not nice. I can tell you right now, I don't like me when I'm not nice. I really don't like me at all when I'm not nice. And sometimes, just sometimes, when I'm not nice, I'm scared of myself. Just so you know. I'm a pretty nice guy. Just don't fucking piss me off. Anyways, get a phone call. It's Laura Roth. She's like, why do you need an IEP meeting? I said, because you put my son in Mrs. Piper's class and that's not happening. I make the schedules and I feel that she's a good fit for your son. I said, I don't give a fuck what you think. I said, I'm coming up to that school. I said, and we're going to change it. She says, well, I'm not going to give you an IEP meeting. I said, you have to. It is the law. You have to follow the law. My son has an IEP. You have to. You know this. We'll see. A while later, she calls back. Mr. Pandy, the meeting will be tomorrow at blah, blah, blah. Okay. See you then. I am not nice now. I am no longer nice, Mr. Pandy. I am not nice, Mr. Pandy. So not nice Mr. Pandy shows up and he's like, look, actually nice Mr. Pandy showed up. Nice Mr. Pandy shows up and I see a few familiar faces. People that were there when I went to school. One very, very nice person by the name of Mrs. Ormosi. Mrs. Ormosi was my special education class teacher. You know, the person that actually taught me something in grade school, took the time to teach me. And she pulled me aside. She's like, Wesley, I know this is not going to go the way you want it. She says, but please. She says, please, Mrs. Piper has really come a long way since your days here at Kingwood School. I said, I'm going to be nice. I don't care. I said, Timothy's not going to be in Mrs. Piper's class. She's like, well, I don't know that we can do much about it because the schedule's set. And I said, we'll see. Okay. So with that, I go into the office, into the meeting room, the big meeting room with the long table that probably cost $150,000. Taxpayer money. My wife at the time, Tim's mother, is with me. And about 9 people, I don't even know who the hell they are. And Laura Roth, Mrs. Ormosi, God, the superintendent was there, and all these people. Okay. I started off by saying, what are we going to do about getting this schedule changed? And the Laura Roth woman says, I don't think we can change the schedule. I set the schedule, and I think your son is going to be just fine in her class. And I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what I think. He's my son. Well, this is our school. I said, I don't give a fuck whose school it is. Then Mr. Nasty Wesley Pandy showed up. I said, look, you got one choice. You don't have 2 choices. You're changing the schedule. You're getting my son out of that class. She says, well, I don't know who you think you are, but I am not changing that class. With that, all bets were off. I stood up and I reached across that table at about Mach 25, and I almost had her by the throat. This close, when Mrs. Ormosi jumps up. I don't know how that woman could move as fast as she did. She jumps up, Wesley, stop! I was going to kill her. There was nothing that was going to stop me from choking the ever-loving shit out of that worthless cunt that day. Do you know that the superintendent said, Wesley, calm down? That's all I hear. I got tunnel vision. I'm telling you. My wife don't even know where the fuck she is. Mrs. Ormosi kept me from killing that broad. Anyway, the superintendent, after she's like up against the wall, who do you think you are? I says, who the hell do you think you are? He's my son, he's not yours, and you're going to do what I say, or your life is going to be a living hell. I will file charges against you and send you into an abyss that you never can crawl out of. I was so mad at her. So the threats went on and things got bad. The superintendent says, Wesley, don't worry about it. I'll see to it that Timothy does not ever step foot in Michelle Piper's class. I promise you. I said, so help me God. If that woman ever even says hello to my son again, I will sue this school into oblivion. And I wasn't talking about the teacher. I was talking about that cunt, Laura Roth. I said, she is off my case. You can't throw me off of your son's case. I says, I'm throwing you off of my son's case. You have no contact with Timothy or me or anybody in my family ever again. You have no rights. You're done. Find somebody else to take over this case. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was like God on the mountain came down and said, Wesley, we'll do whatever you want. No problem. All done. Tim got a different class. Laura Roth was off of his case. She resigned about mid-school year. And, yeah, life was pretty good. Yep. So, nice Wesley Pandy came back to the reality. I didn't have to go and throttle some dumb bitch who thought she was going to pull some bullshit move over me. I'm sorry, I don't play those games. I don't play those games. I don't like those games. And that's a problem with me and my son William. I'm gonna get out of this tractor right now, so hold on a second. My son William is a lot like me. And woo, he got bugs. I just don't want him to have the miserable experience that I had. Let's see what's in there. Yeah, I got plenty in there. I was thinking I should have had less than that, but it is chooching right along. See, this is what you do when you don't have meters. You just go along and you look, make sure your chains are all on. I could see them in the background that it was cranking. You can see it flickering in the light at night. And yeah, the boxes are all about the same. I haven't done a whole heck of a lot today because I didn't get started until like I think I didn't get started until 7:30 tonight planting. So I'll have probably when I'm done with this field, I know I'll have 35 acres. That's all done. I had problems, and I'll call my wife and she can come pick my bony ass up. And then tomorrow morning I'll head back into it. I want to check the depth tomorrow morning anyway. But I can throw 12 bags of seed on the back of a pickup truck, come on over here and knock out a bunch of ground tomorrow. Another, I got 30, 40 acres. I can definitely get 100 and some odd acres in the ground tomorrow. And then hook back up to the sprayer and go back doing that job and get on to Timothy. Gray Wolf. Anyway, so I haven't read anybody's comments because my eyes, when it gets to this time of night, I just can't read anything. I don't have my glasses with me. You're just going to have to deal with what you get. Oops. Yeah, so, I mean, I try not to lose control, especially in the school. But you know, there's just some times when teachers suck, administrators suck. And if you're a young fella and you're going to have kids, or you do have kids, and you're entering into the school system, and your son or daughter does have problems with learning, or they're just a little behind, or maybe too advanced for the school, and they don't like that either. Just so you know, they don't like that either. They do not like a child that is advanced because it overwhelms the teacher, because the teacher's constantly looking for something for that child to do, and they want to be ahead. And then those children that are advanced, they fall behind. It's crazy. Crazy how that works. But the teacher can't think outside the box. Not all of them, but the vast majority of teachers, this is how I do it. This is how it's done. This is the curriculum for today. And if your child is behind, they don't have time to catch them up. And if your child is advanced, they get bored because they're so advanced that they're so advanced that they just can't deal with them. And I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. But there's just one thing I can say. Be vigilant, man. Teachers will fuck up your kids. They'll want to put them on drugs. They'll want, oh, your kid is hyperactive. They'll want to put them on Ritalin or some equivalent to it. Drugs does not cure a problem. It's a mask. You ever watch a TV show when they're advertising for, say, Lipitor, right? Lipitor, I believe that is a cholesterol medication. It sounds like an anal dysfunction medication. I tore my lip, you know, but anyway. The side effects of it. It's like Lipitor may cause, and they say it so fucking fast you can't understand it. But a doctor will prescribe that stuff, and then you're like, well, I don't know what's wrong, but I've got anal seepage and other problems. And yeah, what do you do then? Well, yeah, drugs don't help. They don't help at all. Put your kid on drugs, it just opens them up for bigger problems later in life. Just me. I mean, my generation, Gen X, like I said, I'm gonna be 50. I'm like a broken record because I can't believe it. I'm going to be 50. But 50 years old, I look back at these people, and the people that are running these school systems, come on, Tracker, the people that are running these school systems, they're my age, right? So they've been on the Ritalin, you know? They've been on the Ritalin. And they're for drug abuse, you know? It's like, oh, marijuana's just nothing. It's no different than alcohol. No, I don't do marijuana. I don't care if you do. I just don't want my kid to. Because my experience with marijuana is that anybody that does it, they're either super smart and stressed out, so they do it, or they just never go anywhere. They just never get out of their mom and dad's basement. They fail to launch. There's two girls I went to school with. One was younger than the other. The older one, she was in my class, and when I was in school, in kindergarten, and I remember this like it was yesterday, this girl, she said to another girl, she says, we're so smart, we should just go right up to first grade. I was like, what? Yeah, we're smart, so we're going to go right up to first grade. They never went to first grade. The one girl, she turned out to be a lesbian, and the other one never left her parents' basement. As a matter of fact, I saw her today. Today? Yesterday. I saw her yesterday. No, it was yesterday. She was out raking the grass in her parents' yard. I know she still lives there. Liberal, too. Smoked pot all through high school. Started in grade school, all through high school, and I'm pretty sure she still does. But, come on, man. You're 49, 50 years old, and you're still living with your parents. Unless you're taking care of them as elderly people, you should have at least moved out one day in your life. But no, not that person. Oh, I wish I could read that stuff. Anyway, I should probably. I think I got one or two passes I can talk yet. I've never had such straight rows, I'll tell you that. People today, Timothy saw a Rolls Royce on the road today on 95, and he's like, oh my God, why are they taking a Rolls Royce on 95? I'm like, well, it is a car, but, you know, a Rolls Royce on Route 95, I don't think I would do it. I would find another route. Route 95 down through Philadelphia, it's a nightmare. It's a literal nightmare. There's no need to put an expensive car like that on a road in Philadelphia like that, because the potholes, the cattle chutes, the idiot drivers. I mean, good God, I wouldn't do it. Probably a $200,000 car or so. Kind of like driving my Peterbilt down through there, you know. I didn't pay that much money for it. But if I bought a new one, it would be at least a good $180. I don't know. Well, I wish Teresa was here to hold this camera on my ugly ass mug. Let me check my planter boxes, make sure I got all the lids. Yep, all the lids are there. I can see the chains are turning. I can see that from the tractor. Hey Wes, enjoying constant videos? Yeah, I kind of have had a little more time to upload. You know, I get in the morning. If I'm up late, you know, like tonight, I don't know what time is it now. It's got to be getting pretty late. It's got to be about 11 o'clock now, 10, 11 o'clock. I figure if I get this 20 acres in the ground, this field is 21 acres. If I get this 21 acres in the ground, I'll call my wife and she can come pick my ass up. I'll take a shower and go to bed and do it all over again tomorrow. I don't see that lightning anymore, which is a good thing. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I might keep going. Who knows? But anyway, I'm going to hang it up now. I think I've run out of things to talk about. School teachers and shit like that. I'm going to leave this video on YouTube just because, I don't know, I think it's a cool video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a nice night.